Hello guys, you're welcome to Minority Report Nigeria. I am Chidozie.
And I'm Walter.
And today on the show, we are going to be talking about something that I refer to as new wave homophobia. I think that there are a lot of ways in which homophobia has become more insidious. Like it has gone through a repackaging, and it's a repackaging that makes it harder to detect because it's camouflages with a lot of progressive sounding words, a lot of compound words and things that on the surface seem cool and fancy, you put up in your Twitter bio and all that nonsense. But when you really interrogate these notions, you find that there is at the heart of it is just good old homophobia. A couple of weeks ago, I came across this TikTok video. And it was of this young lady saying how she is a hetero-romantic bisexual, and going into a bit of history. So there seems to be this split model for understanding sexual orientation right now in LGBT politics that sort of separates romantic attraction from sexual attraction, and something that grew out of the ace culture, mostly on Tumblr. It's grew out of that's an entire story in and of itself. But this split model sort of like separates romantic attraction. On the one hand, you have romantic attraction, and on the other hand, the sexual attraction, and both can exist independently of each other. So it's So that's how we ended up with people who are hetero romantic bisexuals. And I don't even want to go too much into whether or not that is ridiculous, and it is. But this sort of ideology has sprouted a new form of homophobia that is very, very hard to detect. So in this case, this young lady was saying how she's a hetero-romantic bisexual, which means that she's sexually attracted to both men and women, but she can only, and she's sure that she can only form romantic attractions with men.
How is this any different from, say, the gay for porn star who is who's straight but is shagging someone for money? Like I'm not getting it, because if you are saying you're straight who can have gay sex for money, that means you're having sexual attachments here and having
just sexual activity,
but you cannot form romantic
bonds, and which is exactly that is definitely it's definitive for sexual orientation. What defines sexual orientation is how a person forms sexual and romantic bonds in relation to sexes. That's what defines sexual orientation. So you are bisexual because you are sexually and romantically attracted to men and women. You are heterosexual because you are sexually and romantically attracted to the opposite opposite sex. You're homosexual because you are sexually and romantically attracted to the same sex. So how then can you say that you're of this sexual orientation, which is bisexual, which means you're sexually and romantically attracted to women, and then you are you're only able to form romantic bonds with one sex, and surprise, the one sex you're able to form bonds with is a sort of bond that is approved by society at large.
Let's see, because I have heard the one time I've had this homo-romantic, hetero-romantic thing was during a Twitter conversation where a guy who's bisexual, and so this with bisexuals
always, and they're always hetero-romantic, always hetero-romantic.
So and when he said he's hetero, the way he explained it was that he's hetero-romantic, and that means that he's more inclined to, like, is this the way you talk about like a spectrum?
Bullshit.
Like when you're I'm coming Bullshit.
Bullshit.
out.
bullshit.
But wait, hold on now.
Okay.
Like, it's a spectrum. Bisexuality is a spectrum, and so it's not a 50-50
I'm tired of this word spectrum. Of course, it's not a 50-50 thing. But here's the thing. Like, okay, let's even be real. Like, it's not a 50-50 thing, but it doesn't negate the fact that you can be sexually and romantically attracted to people of both sexes.
But that person in that instance, in identifying as bisexual, is also accepting that he is more romantically and sexually attracted to women than he is to men.
Here's my point here. More romantically and sexually attracted to, of course, like,
so
it's not the same as being only sexually attracted.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And
because
then romantically
when I started out trying to talk about this, when I was venturing into this, I was saying that the one time that why what you said was banging around in my head with this ridiculousness was because the one time I have heard about this heteroromantic and homoromantic thing,
or the way the person explained it,
was because the person was trying to say that even though he is sexually and romantically attracted to both sexes, he finds himself leaning more towards women than men. That is why
the definition of that is bisexual.
And that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't need to be qualified by anything else.
Yeah, this part about but it's sexually and then there's romantic.
It's completely ridiculous. And here's the thing: like, if you are following that logic through, then we would then have, you'd expect that we would have homoromantic heterosexuals. You'd expect that we have heteroromantic homosexuals. Like, you see, I see how ridiculous it is.
Take this far away from the homosexual.
I see how completely ridiculous it is. Then we have, biromantic platypuses or something. So, like, when it comes down to it, these are very, very homophobic notions. But then, it wears the garments. It sounds very
progressive.
Very progressive. My particular issue with LGBT politics now is that we emphasize empathy and accepting and validating anything a person says above critical thoughts. And that wouldn't even essentially be a problem if you can say, okay, I respect what you're saying, I respect you, I see you, but are you willing to make room for the possibility that there are certain factors that are impacting your judgment here, and that there's a possibility that, all things considered, your judgment could be impaired? No, you're a bigot. You cannot build a movement, you cannot build particularly a political movement that is coherent without critical thoughts. The minute you try to point these things out, you're a bigot, you're trying to tell people how to live their life, how to define themselves, and it's almost like, are you people suggesting that we live in a vacuum? So if I say I am something, myself and the thing I am saying came out of nowhere. There's no cultural context, there's no socio-political context for me coming to decision. Like, it's almost like people and individuals live independent of the societies in which they're making these decisions.
Yes.
I call them new wave heterosexuals who are just scrounging for any bit of marginalization.
Please, I'm oppressed.
Yes,
I'm oppressed.
Please
I'm not
oppress
the
me.
straight people.
It's almost like the rumors are true, and lesbians give really bomb head, and you are here just being a tourist, and somehow we are supposed to, like, what does that even mean? You are bisexual, but you are absolutely certain, like, of all the women in the world, there is not one single one you could possibly form a romantic attraction with.
I call bullshit.
Like, utter garbage.
If two people come into the room, I still keep coming back to, because I have just, in my journey to understanding sexual orientations, at some point I came into the realization that there are in fact people who are heterosexual but who can form sexual connections with people where they can have sex only if there is an extenuating factor.
People in prison, people who get paid, or what's not, people that is why. So then put that person in a room with someone like this lady who's saying she's hetero.
what again? Something.
Heteroromantic bisexual. Like,
so what then what's the difference?
Whatever the fuck that means.
What's the difference between a straight person who is gay for the sex?
A heteroromantic bisexual is a new wave heterosexual that's just crunching for some marginalization. I said so, come for me. Like, I said what I fucking said. What is it? What? Do you know, this is so obvious because you never hear of homoromantics. They are always heteroromantic bisexual. They are always heteroromantic for some reason. Surprise, shocker. It's like saying, I mean, see, this is, for me, this whole heteroromantic bisexual thing is, you know, it's one of two things. You're either a new wave heterosexual who is scrounging for some marginalization, or, you know, you are a bisexual person who is still dealing with this. You internalized homophobia. Yeah. End of. And they're so quick to tell you how ignorant you are. Pick up a book and read, and yada 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 yada. I have heard you, but there is no such thing as a heteroromantic bisexual.
Especially
a bisexual person is a bisexual person, and
yes, just
the question of what sex you are more attracted to you're just extraneous.
You're just bisexual, like just that. Jeez.
So yeah,
people. Why it's so easy to be homosexual. Just know
oh my god. So that's our show for today. I hope, you know, somebody somewhere who has been confused about all of this rather has finally gotten perspective.
It's really okay to be a homosexual. It's okay to be a bisexual. It's okay to be a heterosexual.
At least sometimes.
It's just okay. I am trying to say something profound here, my friend. It's okay to be who you are without qualifications. What do those really do? Really? Except create unnecessary friction.
It looks good on your Twitter bio. So that's our show for today. Until we come here next time on Chill.
Walter.
Bye.